Yeah, we shall begin, right? So, good morning to you all. Now, on 16th of February, so we are going for to attend an open defense Viva examination of Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon. So, her work is on schooling and social disparities, the forms, factors, and effects. So, I think this will be an interesting topic for the participants to listen, and I believe that this work has been very tremendously discussed or widely discussed in campus on various occasions, and I welcome all the participants to this occasion. So here we have Dr. Anthony Palikal as the chairperson of this Open Defense Viva. Dr. Anthony Palikal is professor of the Department of Sociology from University of Kerala. I welcome you, Dr. Anthony Palikal, to this occasion. And we have Dr. Dilip KG, retired professor from this university. He is professor and head of the Department of Department of Sociology. I welcome him as the convener of the session. Welcome you, Doctor. And now the key attracting the portion will be discussed by Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon, a scholar of the Department of Sociology Associates. We are also welcome Aswathi to this session. Also, I welcome all the participants, maybe academics and relatives and friends of Aswathi to this occasion, and I request all to put their mic and write your name and designation or your details in the chat box, so that will be counted as attendance. Hand over this session and invite Dr. Dilip KG to convene the session. Please do take charge.
Thank you, Dr. Biju. Good morning, everybody. Well, we have assembled here, though virtually, to take part in the open defense and Viva examination of the PhD thesis submitted by Mrs. Aswathi Kunjumon, who has submitted her thesis on the topic Schooling and Social Disparities, the Forms, Factors and Effects. I, being the convener of the academic event, cordially welcome the head of the Department of Sociology at the Sri Shankaracharya University, Dr. Biju Vincent, the respected chairperson of the Board of Adjudicators and professor at the Department of Sociology, University of Kerala, Dr. Anthony Palikal, renowned professors and academicians, eminent personalities, dear students from various departments, and the candidate, Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon, to this occasion. Imparting knowledge is undoubtedly the primary aim of education. It also has the secondary function of instilling the values like equality, fraternity, scientific temper, and so on, as enshrined in our Constitution. Schooling plays a very important role in inculcating these values among the students in their formative period. One of the indicators of the Kerala model of development is the strides that the state has achieved in the field of education. The comparatively higher social and economic affluence that we have witnessed in Kerala can be correlated to the educational policy that we have been following, or at least is what we can see at the surface. This thesis ought to throw some light in this rather gray area. As all of us know, we are conducting the Open Defense and Public Viva voce examination through video conferencing using electronic means during this COVID pandemic period. The chairperson of the Board of Adjudicators, Dr. Anthony Palakkal, Professor of Sociology at the University of Kerala, will be conducting the proceedings online. The candidate may take 30 minutes to present her thesis, and I suggest her to limit her presentation within the stipulated time. The audience can seek clarifications on the permission of the chairperson after the candidate's presentation. With that, I request Dr. Anthony Palakkal to start the proceedings of the Open Defense and Viva voce examination. Dr. Palakkal, please. Hello, Dr. Palakkal.
Okay. Very good morning to you all present here virtually. And thank you very much, Dr. Biju Vincent, the HOD, the head of the Department of Sociology of Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit, and Professor Dr. Dilip KG, the supervising teacher of the scholar who is facing her open Viva OSC examination today. And of course, the scholar, Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon, who is scholar, Department of Sociology, SSUS, the candidate, the scholar who is presenting her thesis today and defending it. And also the eminent teachers, scholars,
Dr.
and
Anthony,
students. Yes, I'm not
so
audible.
close to, yes, you're audible, you're so close to your camera.
Yes. Please, yeah.
I'm so close to my camera. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
It's perfect.
Good.
But yeah. Maybe I can switch off the camera because that doesn't matter. But am I audible enough?
Yeah,
Am
sure.
I audible? Okay. Is it fine? Is it okay? Yes.
Yeah, please keep the video also. Keep the video on, please.
Please keep the. I didn't hear that. What did you say now?
Video
keep
also. No, don't
okay,
shut down
fine.
the video.
Okay, good. Okay, so we will. I think we'll. The convener, Professor Dilip, the supervisor. Which needs to be discussed, studied and discussed, at length. As education, as he rightly pointed out, is a very important means. Did someone tell me something? Okay, so it's a very important topic. We will straight away go into the presentation, as the convener has pointed out that excuse me, is it okay? Am I audible? Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you shall proceed.
Yeah, someone is keeping the mic open.
Someone is speaking in between. Please mute
Yes.
your mic. Those who have not unmuted, muted. Okay. So I invite the scholar Aswathi Kunjumon to make her presentation. Present her thesis in about 30 minutes. Welcome, Aswathi Kunjumon, to make your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning, all. My research title is Schooling and Social Disparities, the Forms, Factors and Effects. The formal schools are the one which can ensure equal opportunities for a gradual social change. It brings a broad social outlook among the people belong to any category. The school plays a prominent role in building the perspectives and attitudes toward society and influence the children's experience of the social world. Hence, a discussion of the philosophy and efficacy of the schooling process in inculcating the values cherished by the society is an area for academic intervention. The thesis structure of the thesis is into 8 chapters, total 8 chapters, including all in usual chapters. The core chapters are schooling and the forms of social differences, re-examining cultural capital and its efficacy in schools, and third core chapter is schooling as liberating experience. Introduction. Education concerns the attainment of skills, knowledge, values, habits, and attitudes which develop through the entire life. Sociology of education is a field devoted to the understanding and providing a unique and powerful set of tools to objectively explore the education system of societies. Indian economy undoubtedly linked with the progress of its education sector, where Kerala is India's supreme progressive society in terms of education, knowledge, and health. Amartya Sen referred Kerala experience in terms of education development, where he pointed education's direct and immediate purpose is to make people better informed, more able, more skilled, and more reliable. The present study attempts to focus on one of the primary aim of the education process, that is whether it produces equality or difference. The study will focus with a critical view about the forms and factors which reproduce social disparities or differences and its effects in schooling. The forms refers to the different types of social disparities existed in the society in the form of gender, social class, religion, and caste. The factors relate to the cultural capital, which explained in terms of Pierre Bourdieu's perspective. And effects means result or consequences of the reproduction of the social disparities specified in the term deliberating experience, which include the social exposure of the overall development among the children as a result of the current schooling system. Coming to the literature review. The literature review explains from a general understanding and move to the specified objects. So these are the major headings included the reviews. Coming to the statement of the problem, it is necessary to explore how certain groups become more privileged and more powerful in social positions and how they maintain or upgrade their status from one generation to another. So it was understood that these differences are reproduced not only through the family but also through the social institutions where we learn the norms and rules of society. The study aims to explore the role of schooling process in the reproduction of social disparities and its forms, factors, and effects upon society. And the major social disparities discussed were gender, social class, religion, and caste differences, and also the unequal distribution of cultural capital. The effects of these social differences would reflect in the liberating experience of the students that they have achieved through the process of schooling. Coming to the methodology, the research began with the research questions formed according to the analysis of the literature review. Whether the education system reproduces social differences through the different types of schooling process, whether the unequal distribution of cultural capital brings differences in education achievement. How could the education system mold the students to think and act to achieve a liberating experience? And how often the schooling system enables the children to develop one social exposure to the full? The theoretical framework adopted here is Pierre Bourdieu's trial methodology. The three concepts, field, capital, and habitus, the concept put forward by Bourdieu, and the study tries to explore how these concepts are interrelated with each other in the education sector. The specified objectives to explore the dynamics of formation of gender differences through the current formal education, to study the forms and effects of school in producing and sustaining social class differences. Third one, to analyze whether the disparity are being produced by schooling with regard to religion and caste and its forms as well as effect. Fourth, to examine the efficacy of different types of schools in countering the reproduction of disparities based on differences in parental cultural capital. Fifth, to explore whether modern education system effectively endows the liberating experience to the students. So, 8 hypotheses formulated, and these hypotheses are null hypothesis, and it's valid through the chi-square test. These are the independent variables used in the research. Coming to the definition of concepts, social disparity. Social disparity refers to the distinguishing differences and the inequality produced through the internal and external features of the schooling system, which may lead to discrimination at the same time or later. Coming to the schooling, the instruction and training given in school can refer to a schooling or education, and here higher secondary education considers as schooling. Forms of disparity refers to the practices and procedures of an existing system, and the primary source of social inequality discussed in the research are gender, social class, religion, and caste differences, which intentionally or unintentionally reproduced in the current schooling system. Coming to the factors of disparity, factors refer to the unequal distribution of cultural capital, which causes the reproduction of social differences. And here, the factors like education and occupation of the parents, their cultural practices, reading habits, outdoor programs, proficiency in language, and social and economic background in the choice of the school to enroll their children are taken as cultural capital. Effects of disparity. The term effects means the result or consequences produced by a system. And here, the research explained the effects of disparity in connection with the social exposure and perspectives towards society as they gained as a result of these differences reproduced by the schooling system. Coming to the liberating experience, the liberating experience is the concept put forward by Ivan Illich in his work, Deschooling Society. So, Illich believed that education should be a liberating experience where people could explore, create, and use their initiative and judgment, freely develop their abilities and talents ultimately. So, the research also tried to explore about their social exposure and skills by students in their perspectives and practices through the process of different forms and factors of disparities produced by the schooling system. The research tries to understand the existing social practices and activities.
Mr. Ajit Pillai, please mute your
Yes.
mic. Mr. Ajit Pillai,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
please mute.
Okay, the research tries to understand existing social practices and activities which reproduce in the social difference in society. So, to identify the respondents from a vast population, the research employ mixed methodology in using both quantitative and qualitative data. And design is cross-sectional, and the source of data is both primary and secondary. And coming to the pilot study, the research is focused on the current schooling system in Kerala. Hence, pilot study was conducted among the schools in southern, northern, and central region of the state. And from the analysis of the pilot study, the universe of the research was fixed to higher secondary students of Ernakulam district. And the population narrowed down to 7 villages where the school representing certain features appropriate for the research. The methods and tools of data collection. The central tools used are interview schedule, separate interview guides for students, teachers, and parents, and alumni and observation. So case study method was used to collect data from alumni. Pretest. The pretest was conducted in 3 different types of schools such as aided, government, and CBSE, using an interview schedule among 5 students and each from 3 different streams, that is science, commerce, and humanities. And coming to the sampling, the total samples collected were 458, and samples were collected from different clusters, namely humanities, commerce, and science stream of the 3 different types of schools, government, aided, and CBSE of each village. And the analysis, the quantitative data collected were classified, tabulated, and analyzed, interpreted with the help of SPSS. And since the schedule individual contains certain lots of questions of qualitative nature, which elicited an in-depth interviews on religion, gender, class, liberating experience, and the study used both quantitative and qualitative technique data for analyzing each chapter. So the analysis is triangulation. Schooling in Kerala setting and analysis. So this chapter begins with the historical analysis of schooling in Kerala, the political developments, and profile of the respondent. So these are the major details explaining the respondent's profile. So this is about the gender, religion, and branch. Branch means streams. So here gender is 55% of girls and 45% boys. This is same as our sex ratio of the Kerala society. And coming to religion is also This ratio is same as our religious ratio of Kerala society. And coming to branch, that is stream, science is 45.2%, commerce 38%, humanities 16%. It shows that the lack of social science among the schooling system in Kerala. About parallel education and parallel occupation. In Kerala, the most prime factor in building one's education is parallel education and occupation. And it shows that the better highly qualified parents choose their students to enroll in CBSE and rather than government and aided school. And coming to occupation, it shows that the occupation in the sense, with regard to their professional occupation, it's more visible in CBSE than government and aided school. So, coming to the core chapter, schooling and the forms of social difference. So, the chapter forms of social difference explains major 3 forms, that is gender, social class, religion and caste. Coming to gender difference, it shows that the major criteria which explain the gender difference in these aspects. That is, first is usage of email ID. It shows that boys are more technologically efficient in using internet, social networking and other technological devices rather than girls. So it doesn't mean the girls are inefficient, but a kind of restrictions insisted on girls by using gadgets, and the availability of these gadgets is also more popular among the boys and girls. And regarding to social networking, also the boys are engaging in social networking more than girls. It's about the higher secondary students. And this significance of email ID is necessary for an academic purpose, but it shows that boys are more equipped with this kind of techniques. Selection of friends, it shows that the students who select their friends while enquiring their first 5 friends details, it shows that there is a tendency to have same-sex gender than the opposite gender. About directions on friendship, it shows that the girls have receiving more instructions regarding their friendship circle than boys, especially from the parents. And instructions about dressing, also the girls are receiving more instructions than boys. The parents are more keen on dressing of girls than boys. And regarding the unequal treatment, here the boys receive both the genders, both the girls and boys receiving unequal treatment, but girls receiving unequal treatment from home and the boys are receiving unequal treatment from school, especially in the form of punishments. So, and other gender different aspects is visible is in the seating arrangement. Mixed the school is not encouraging mixed seating, and informal sessions also we can find the separate seating. And there is schools which following the attendance register as a gender form, beginning with boys and girls name. And there is a CBSE school which had a routine that the students should leave in a separate lines after the class. Sometimes this difference extends to different routes or stairs to leave the class. Another interesting observation is that in aided school, students are using separate stairs for boys and girls, and also separate space for boys and girls for washing their hands. So this graph explaining the friendship and gender, you can see the preference of boys is more with boys itself and preference of girls is more with girls itself. So this shows a pure gender difference while choosing their friends. So the experience a kind of gender differences in the school and family. Coming to social class difference, the major criteria for analyzing social class difference is parental education and occupation. Since the income is not used in the research, because most of the students are not keen on expressing their income, at the same time they found a mismatch with their data while interviewing the parents. So parental education and occupation considered as one of the social class criteria here. And already we discussed the education, highly educated and better occupied parents also giving preference to CBSE schools rather than government and aided school. And selection of friendship, it shows that skilled laborers children prefer to associate with students from the same background, and for professional children, the majority of their friends' background also enriches with their professional occupation, which is a visible indicator of the reproduction of social differences through the maintenance of one social class. With regard to ICT, usage of ICT, it found that the students' usage of internet is mainly for social networking, and other entertainments instead of for academic purpose. And the field experience also shows this kind of difference in especially in the availability of the ICT. And mostly in the government school, there is only a 10 to 12 computers with the mass strength of 50 to 60 students in a class. So it is not easy for them to access this kind of IT gadgets or something. And the situation is somewhat similar among aided school students also. And coming to CBSE, they were able to provide sufficient facilities, and the student strength is nearly less than half of the strength of government schools. Coming to reading resources, in government schools, majority depends on newspaper. Aided school also majority students were depends on newspaper. The lack of availability, the lack of poor library facilities is also one of the reasons for this dependency. And with regard to CBSE school, they are more giving priority to short stories, fictions, and other knowledge books. And it's not easy to find a proper librarian in these schools. With regard to uniform, the student itself feels disparity in the uniform pattern of different schools, and they commented that school uniform pattern has a social status in society. Coming to the changes towards one school, an inquiry regarding the changes that they need to bring in their schooling experience. There itself we can see a social class experience, that is, the CBSE students commented about the heaviness of bad teaching methods, challenges to manage school, entrance coaching, assignments, practicals, exam stress from parents and teachers, highly technical question papers, and the lack of arts and sports. Coming to the aided school, their demands is regarding hectic long period, school uniform, class 2, canteen and library. And then coming to government school, they are demanded about drinking water, good classroom with sufficient seating, clean bathroom, the reduction of strength in a classroom, better library, control usage of mobile phones and drugs in the campus. So these things shows a kind of social class differences, especially choosing the different types of schools. So this pie chart shows the availability of email ID, and you can see that government school is only 20% are having own email ID, as email ID is a significant aspect for academic purpose. It shows that they are weak in using information technology for academic purpose. Coming to religion and caste, these are the criteria for analyzing the religion and caste difference. So, with regard to the friendship, selection of friends, majority of students choose friends from their own religion. So, and data while inquiring about the first 5 friends' details, it shows that their friends are belonging to same religion itself. And coming to directions on religious matters, we found that more directions is given by family rather than school authority. Students also agreed to the statement irrespective of any schools. Coming to the knowledge on religion, an inquiry regarding their attractive and non-attractive factors from their own religion and others' religion. And most of the students, majority commented more on the attractive factors of their religion and non-attractive factors of other religion. It shows their critical thinking regarding other religion than one's own faith. Coming to school atmosphere, the placing of kind of images, idols, wordings also think that promoting kind of religious ideologies. So this is a graph explaining the friendship and religion, and you can see it shows that the Hindu religion students who belong to Hindu religion having more preference to Hindus itself, and students who belong to Christian and Muslim also having more preference to their own religion itself. It shows that a kind of religious reproduction is being going on. The choice of school and the aided and CBSE, especially to a particular religious orientation, is also one of the reasons for this. This is a school, this is an atmosphere of a school. A picture shows an atmosphere of a school, and you can see the picture itself explicitly approving the statement which explained right now. Coming to the second chapter, re-examining cultural capital and its efficacy in schools. This explaining primary education and occupation that already mentioned. So in Kerala, the most prominent cultural capital of Kerala's education system is parental education and occupation. And this difference we can see in the preference of school, the courses they choose for the higher education opportunities, etc. And regarding cultural wealth, that as Pierre Bourdieu's cultural capital, he explains about the significance of cultural capital in the education sector. So the major cultural wealth analyzed here is reading. So it shows that the students already very feeble in reading, and the teachers also commented that even though they had given guidance about reading newspapers for language skills, but very few categories of students try to practice it. And the lack of accessibility would be the reason for not developing such practices. Coming to television, data analysis reveals that educated parents could guide their children to choose television programs and expose to knowledge-sharing channels through a paid subscription. Regarding to outdoor programs, majority students of respective schools agreed that the most entertaining program outside the home environment is watching movies in theater. And only few students are engaging in sports activities. Alarmingly, no girls responded that they involved in sports as an outdoor activity. Coming to career and higher education also shows the same element, that is parental education increases. The awareness regarding career and higher education is also increases, and if the occupation status is low, the awareness is also becoming low. It reflected that children whose parents had doctoral degree were more aware of the courses, and the children whose parents were below and up to SSLC education was unaware of the appropriate courses for their career. This is a clear indicator of the unequal distribution of cultural capital. And language used for communication. Majority of students of CBSE school, 83% are using English language for communication. And coming to government and aided school, it's only 99 and 97% are using Malayalam. So it doesn't mean that usage of local language brings negative impacts, but higher education demands the formal language in English. So this will reflect in their higher educational and career opportunities. Coming to infrastructure facilities, we can see this difference. Government school atmosphere is wretched and we don't have enough classrooms. Massive strength is up to 60 students in a class, and infrastructure facilities for a classroom is also meager. The aided is somewhat similar to that situation, but better than government school. And coming to CBSE, they are very different in this aspect, that is costly school environment and excellent facilities enrich them in the education sector. The physical appearances of uniform that already mentioned. Student itself feel disparity in the uniform pattern of different school, and they comment that uniform pattern has a social status in society. Coming to the caste and cultural capital, caste is one of the prominent capital in Kerala. So it shows that the students who belong to scheduled caste community, that is 75%, and the whole students from the scheduled tribe community were found in government school rather than aided and CBSE. There are no scheduled tribes community, the students who belong to the scheduled tribe, enrolled in any of the CBSE schools where the fieldwork has been taken place. And another fact observed is that 16% of the students were not respond to the option regarding caste. This shows their perception towards caste in society. And none of the students from the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities commented that they faced any sort of caste disparity. However, their performance and response are clarifying the lack of cultural capital and social class resources in the education scenario. And one of the CBSE schools in the allied community in urban sector could not find a student who belonged to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe category studying in any of the standards. The teacher of that particular school is also claimed the fact. The whole tribe, although 100% of the students who belong to the tribal community were doing part-time job, this shows their socioeconomic status, and none of the students commented that they have enough confidence to achieve their goal or ambition, and they do not have support and personal relationship from teachers to share their matters. They were not receiving any sort of help from the school officials or other authorities, and they were unaware of the higher education opportunities and scholarship for the appropriate courses. This may reflect in their attitude and perception regarding ambition and career. There is a student who does not have any form of career aspiration who belongs to the scheduled tribe community. Another observing fact is their exciting career list. While most of the students given priority for professional education and professional careers, the students who belong to the scheduled tribe reflect that they giving more priority to technical or skilled work rather than professional job. It doesn't mean that they are educationally weak or technically job are least value, but it reflects their awareness about their financial security and family background. And the lack of these capitals in the form of economic, social, and culture forbidden them from pursuing their career aspiration. Regarding the parental involvement in schooling, however, the most of the parents are concerned regarding their children's education. Their concern and involvement is through providing materials for learning, such as books, computer, internet, and not engaging in any other kind of works. Today, the only source to assist their studies is tuitions and coaches. So this is a chart explaining awareness regarding higher education. You can see CBSE students are the majority who are aware about the higher education opportunities, courses, etc. And coming to which is comparatively low in government aided. This graph explaining the parallel occupation and the choice of school, and you can see skilled workers and that are more in government aided, and professionals is more in CBSE. And this is the explaining caste and different schools. So you can see a kind of caste domain in the particular schools, and no scheduled tribe students studying in any of the aided and CBSE schools. Coming to this liberating experience is the concept explained by evangelists. It is believed that education should be a liberating experience where people could explore, create, and use their initiative and judgment freely, develop their abilities and talents ultimately. And liberating education consists in act of cognition, not transferable information. It is a learning situation in both the cognitive object intermediate, the actors, teachers on the one hand, and student of the other. That is by Paulo Freire. So these are the criteria explaining liberating experience. About reading and social awareness, which is one of the prominent factor to have liberating experience. Most of the students lack the habit of reading, and the only reading material is newspaper, and that too is only for reading sports and main headings. Then schools also is not able to issue reading materials necessary for academic purpose. Even there are schools who doesn't have a library at all. And the details of the books read by the students are very feeble, and they were not able to mention any aspect of national affairs, social conditions of society, etc. I mean, they were not able to identify a Malayalam writer. The only use of the internet is social networking. And while inquiring about their favorite author, they were not able to give a proper name. And if those who are given name were not able to reveal about the content of that particular book. About library, the lack of enough facilities in library reflected in their output towards social awareness and social conditions. With regard to role of teachers, the teachers, majority of students agreed that teachers were not approachable. At the same time, the teachers commented that they were tried to inculcate debate and discussion in classroom, but most of the students were not able to give more contents. Coming to the social clubs and participation, there are different clubs in the school to enhance students' skills and capabilities, but these are only for namesake. There is environment club, nature club, science club, South club, but these clubs are only for namesake. Coming to career and higher education, while analyzing career options, most of the students spoke about their aspiration towards professional job, civil services, business management, administration, banking sector. And furthermore, about the appropriate course institution which offer the course, duration of the course, the way to obtain admission, it's completely ignorant by the majority of students. And these schools have a career guidance cell to enhance awareness regarding career, but students are not completely aware about the career details. Perspective towards social science and society, the lack of finding humanities stream about the option itself shows the lack of perspective towards social science. And the questions regarding awareness about social political condition also reveal students' perspective regarding the society and societal conditions. They are not giving to more details regarding the updating the social conditions. So, in order to find out the liberating experience, it feels that the current ongoing schooling not itself able to convey the a real rehabilitating experience. So for this, conducted case studies with the alumni of these different schools. 9 case studies conducted. These are the certain expressions from this alumni. So some of them speak very liberal about gender and religion, and very few accept that these unchanging practice of these differences. And the changing response of these people is only because of the difference in the field and capital after schooling. The specific practice of religion, the educated and unemployed people remain same as socially transmitted in society. And these people all really accepted the social differences through schooling, which is a indicator of their learning experience achieved through reality in life. But they really reveal their helplessness to get rid of the system because of the current society demands. So these are the certain words from the government school. I think our government school must adopt a new system which give free education or minimize the expense in education to overcome the social class difference. Another is from an aided school. She feels the gender difference in schools when she studied in small classes, and the teachers did not teach the chapters about the menstruation, and they told her to read it personally. This shows a kind of gender disparity in the sense, a kind of stigma existing in the teachers itself. Then about from a CBSE alumni, it's an education system is not providing any life tools carried by a alumni of CBSE school. That is, the system did not teach how to take care of families, nor to understand the emotions and behavior of the people. And she commented that she's not sure about the intensity of my education to help as a human being. So the research is overall about the social disparity by applying the Bojo's concept, field, capital, and habitus. Bojo explained this is a tri-methodology, that is interconnectedness between the field, capital, and habitus. So here, the study also undertaken with critical perspectives, critically analyzing the existing school system of society, the things which school intentionally or unintentionally reproducing to the students. The theoretical framework is Boy's time methodology. So here, social field consists of experiences and practices of schools and family, which reproduces social disparity in terms of gender, class, religion, and caste. And unequal distribution of cultural capital is also, and the social differences, that is the factor of disparity. And these two concepts, field and capital, resulted in the habitus, the perceptions of the student, that is the liberating experience. So this three concepts, field, capital, and habitus, lead to these schooling practices, which lead to social differences. So conclusion, different school settings and family prepare the child for a future society. Furthermore, the preparation of the social experiences that the student receive from the social field perpetuate them to keep on with the existing social conditions of the nation. The society, the constitution, and education tries to teach for equality, but the practices to all three sectors prepare them to continue with these social differences. The different possibilities and facilities bring different social state and society. If education stands to ensure equality, whether the different formal schooling system able to reproduce it. When the practices and teachings contradict, how a liberating experience is possible for the children who are the future of society. So it is argued that most of the problem lies in the input than the output of the students. So that's about the thesis, and this is the references. Thank you.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Your thesis briefly and with clarity and systematically with clarity. Now it is open to the audience, the participants, for your comments, for your queries, and we will take, if you have any questions, write down, and Ashwati will respond to those questions perhaps at one go, or we will take a couple of questions together, and then we'll see the nature of questions, and we'll organize the response accordingly. Now you are welcome to make your comment. And hello, over to the participants. Any question?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Ashwati.
Please introduce yourself first and then ask the question.
Okay. Actually, I am Dhanya, guest lecturer in the Department of Sociology. And first of all, I would like to congratulate you for such an intensive work and your systematic presentation. And I just want to ask one opinion of you. That's about what is the social disparities happening in schools or in online classes during this period of COVID pandemic. That's the question. Thank you.
Any other? Meanwhile, Ashwati, you want to make any comment, on the remark made by Kanya?
Okay, okay.
Ashwati, you
Thank you,
want to
Tanya.
make any
And
comment, any
yes,
response?
yes. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not specific about the schools and situations during this COVID period. But what I understood that there are schools who are equipped with this technological advancements and giving proper guidance for the students, and at the same time there are schools or students from the rural areas, especially belongs to this scheduled tribe community, and those who are being less financially secure students were difficult to access this online classes. So, and I'm not the perfect person to comment on it because my research is just before this COVID period. But what I understood from the experience of the students is, there is the mixing of issues. But the advancement is that the students are capable of using internet, technological advancement, just because of this COVID situation.
Ashwati, this is Lima. Am I audible?
Yes, Lima.
Okay. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a small doubt. In your findings part, you have mentioned about the majority. You used the word majority, right? So, how did you use that word majority? Is it based on a percentage analysis or something like that, or based on any statistical procedures? And second thing is, what are the implications of your study? Like, do you have any recommendations to make? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Lima. The data analyzed, tabulated, it's using SPSS software and by cross tables, and we came to this percentages. That is, I mentioned that majority. And the major suggestions about this research is, to better having this library facilities, it is good to merge high school to higher secondary. So giving, it's easy for to access or provide this kind of resources to the whole school. Another thing is avoiding the religious notions in schools, especially in the idols or ideas or something. Then a uniform pattern that we can give us, a specific uniform which is appropriate for our environment rather than copying from or imitating Western culture. And about the textbooks. So normally these different schools having similar textbooks only during their higher secondary. So it will be good if they are following a uniform pattern and syllabus in the entire schooling, without any difference in the difference of schools.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am Ajita Pillai, a research scholar in sociology of education. I'm very happy to hear that you are also doing your work in the educational sociology. I want to know about three aspects. I came across that you have used a mixed method in your study. What type of a mixed method was there in your study? Please explain that. And the other one regarding the sampling, sampling technique which you have followed for this mixed method, if so. And finally, I think you are depending upon the conflict approach. The conflict approach states that education actually is the reproduction of existing system into the new generation. It is not liberation. It is not actually helping the liberation of the child to education. As far as that is concerned, I wish to know about your theoretical framework also. Thank you. You have done a very good job, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Actually, it's about social of education, and it's okay. So higher secondary students, so to curb down the vast population, and my research is about identifying social differences. So it is not easy to collect kind of information from students. So in order to reduce the population and to having more in-depth data, use both mixed methodology. So from this mixed method, both quantitative and qualitative data used. So to the quantitative data help to identify the person who are having more or experiencing kind of social differences. And this qualitative data, that is in-depth interview using interview guide. So this method help to explore in-depth data from the persons who are experiencing this kind of social differences. And about sampling techniques, they explain schools from the 7 villages of Ernakulam district and already available clusters, that is higher secondary, is humanities, commerce, and science. And using random method, randomly selected people from the attendance register and collected the data. And from the quantitative data from their responses, selected the qualitative data. And normally the total quantitative data is 458, and in-depth interview is 42, and also interviewed their parents, and also interviewed a teacher from the school. Later interviewed the alumni of the school. So that is depends on the available of that alumni list. Then I think about it's clear to you, sir. I'm clear about what you said about liberating experience.
I was just inquiring about
Ashwati,
the theoretical I was just inquiring about the theoretical background
Okay. Yes.
which you placed your study.
Okay, yes. Theory is Bourdieu's explains about trio methodology, that is the field, capital, and habitus, which is a both these concepts are interrelated and co-construct, and there is no any kind of dominance over with this concept. So I'm also trying to analyze or explore this concept in the education sector. So field is here explained as the social background of school, practices in school, and family, and the capital is regarded as the parental education occupation. And the lack of cultural capital, that is the difference in the output with regard to the parents' education occupation. And these two reflected in the habitus, that is the perception of the students, that is considered as liberating experience. So if we are giving different experiences to the students through schooling and through parents, and that will reflect in their perspectives. So about gender, we used to tell them about being gender neutral and being more concerned regarding gender, giving more priority to any specific priority to specific gender. But the practices and the activities in the school and the parents will reflect in their perception. That is what I'm trying to find out, the liberating experience. So how often they are trying to liberate their experiences and their outlook towards society.
Ashwati, could you hear me?
Yes, Deepthi.
Okay, I have a doubt that many non-formal education schools like Sarang had proposed that students need a survival kind of education, that they need to survive to, they need those kind of education that to make strong them to survive with in any situation. So I think the current new education policy has been proposed this idea that to make student to specialize in any field more than education. Did you study or did you have the opinion that to make student like that, or they need more academic kind of education?
The thing is, even though we are specifying regarding academic orientation, but most of the system is working just to achieve kind of score or marks, or having kind of interest in compatible career, and just because of the social status. So it is necessary to have more training regarding improving their skills, especially language, especially and the skills regarding in type of add-on courses. This is very good for improving student skill. At the same time, academic purpose is not vested in any particular textbook only. This is very vast. It's a very broad social space. So we should expose students to a broad space rather than limited to a specific syllabus or something.
Okay.
Okay. Hello.
Sir.
I think we have more or less. Is there any more question? Any more question, or if you tell me, any one of you want to ask any more further, make any comment
Yes,
or
sir.
question? Okay. Okay. Please do. Please do, Manjusha.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good morning, ma'am. And first of all, I congratulate you. And my name is Manjusha. I am from the college Sacred Heart Holdings, Devara, MA Sociology. And I have a doubt that education is the best way to become a person, not only for getting a job. So, what can we do for getting good education for girls as well as the boys without any disparity of gender, religion, class, or caste from the part of the government as well as the civil servants and as a, of course, as a common people? And for example, we have in northern part of the India, most of the girls didn't get any education from for them. And what are the, even though the situations are slightly changed, so what are the like from the part of us, what are the things we will do for the betterment of the girls and all this?
Okay. I already suggested, commented about suggestions which raised by Limaraj. There are certain techniques which we should employ in the schooling system. And for you, being a postgraduate student, I suggest you to read and don't limit your education sector to a particular syllabus or particular assignments and seminars. The social world is open to you, so you should be open to the society, and you should observe the society through your readings, exposing to different lectures, exposing to different available articles, journals, and I think you are the one as a system running in the way. Then you are the one who should take initiative to curb these issues.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anthony sir, please unmute.
For the time being, stop the discussion and questions. Here. And shall I take the open defense forward? Okay. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we had a couple of questions, a few questions to the remarks and questions to the scholar, Srimati Aswathi, and she seems to have defended her, all those queries and comments, remarks, and so on. Now, as the chairman of the adjudicators, it is my duty to place before her some of the remarks and queries made by the examiners, the evaluation, who made the evaluation of the thesis, including me. So we'll spend some time, maybe about 10-15 minutes maximum, in conducting this, formally the Viva was the examination of the candidate. And so let me place before her some of the questions that our the examiners of the thesis have placed, for her consideration and perhaps for her response and the defense. So now at the outset, let me congratulate Aswathi, as the one of the members of the board of adjudicators. Let me congratulate Srimati Aswathi and the supervisor for undertaking the research of this this depth and profound kind of on a topic that is very relevant, having diverse multiple implications to the knowledge system, the knowledge of the sociology, our own discipline, pertaining to a very important system or area of concerning society, the building up of generations in and through education. And as Aswathi has mentioned, it leads to the liberation, empowerment, and also of critical thinking and disposition of the future generation. So, and she has made a very good effort along with the supervisor, with the guidance of the supervisor. So my congratulations on behalf of the adjudicators, the members of the examiners. Now, we have raised some questions, and I would like to present those questions before Aswathi for her response to those queries. To begin with, let me come to those reports. All the reporters, all the examiners have rated your thesis very well, and have I should say they have recommended also. Now, but at the same time, some of them have raised some questions regarding the same. Number one, I would like to get better clarity as to to Ernakulam district, there are a couple of schools there. What is the rationale? Kindly, explain to me the rationale for confining your studies to Ernakulam district. Now, let me also, bring to your attention that your literature is primarily dealing with the schooling system, the disparities, inequalities of the schooling system, and your area, you have chosen the higher secondary as your field of inquiry. Given this background, could you please explain the reason why you have confined your field study to Ernakulam district, the schools in Ernakulam district, and avoiding, and it's a study on the educational system in Kerala, of Kerala. So please explain that to me.
Okay. Sir.
Yes. Yes.
So, reflection of Ernakulam district, actually the study representing the education system of Kerala. So the pilot study conducted from the southern, northern, and central region of the state. And why stick to Ernakulam is, there is a mix-up of categories of people who are more settled in Ernakulam due to migration with regard to their employment and education. So there's a mixing up of views is also reflected in Ernakulam district while compared to the north and southern part of the state. And also, while analyzing the mean range regarding the number of schools, the average of that schools is proportionally to the Ernakulam district number of schools, and also found the kind of proportion with regard to the number of schools specifically to aided, CBC and government in aided in Ernakulam district. That's why spotting Ernakulam district as the universe of the research. And regarding high school, yeah, that's true, sir. Most of the researchers are literatures are specifying regarding high school education. As higher secondary education came into prominent mostly, even if it started by in the year 1990, it's established in all the society by the year 2001. So most of the literatures are regarding high schools rather than higher secondary education. And the scenario of this high school and higher secondary is more what similar. That's why I included high school in this literature part. Just because of the lack of availability of this higher secondary education, most of the studies are concerned with other quality constraints, being having technological advancements or something. That's why stick on to this. And more of the scenario, so the scenario is similar, reflected in high school and higher secondary. That's why.
Okay, Ashwathi. Now that explains. And now let me ask you. See, you have considered family, as the arena of the reproduction of these inequalities, disparities, etc., and that is being extended to the school system, and that affects the children, and reproducing the disparities and inequalities, in the educational system. Why did you leave, the larger context, the system, our social structure and the disparities and contradictions that are found there, and again, limiting your this arena of operations of these disparities and inequalities as confining only to family? Do you understand my question? You chose your independent variable, family, as the independent variable. Any special reason or rationale for that, or I would like to hear from you.
Not only family, there are other independent variables also there.
Like
parent education, occupation, religion, type of schools, the location where they settled. So there are other sex, etc. also included as independent variable. So not only family, other variables.
Okay, what I was concerned about, I thought you left out the larger social structure that reproduces. I don't know whether I understood. I did not understand you correctly. The larger social structure, where these general disparities and contradictions are being reproduced. I was pointing to that. So did you consider that, the whole arena of the system of governance, the system of the political system, of administration, and so on and so forth? Do you have anything to say regarding that, if you have?
It's actually prime focus is towards education and students. That's why I stick to family. That the things which related to them was giving more priority. That's why I stick to family. That is parents, teachers, and students. But the input you given is yes, true. You should consider. Yeah, I admit it.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, it's along the same line. I was wondering whether did you find anything special regarding the analysis of the caste with income and type of schools? Did you notice any specific finding coming up? If you have analyzed the caste category with their income and type of schools, that does that relation with caste, income, and type of schools bring you any special finding?
Yes, actually, caste is not included here, but rather primary education and occupation is considered for analyzing the social class. And it shows that there are students, belong to this backward caste community. The interesting fact is I couldn't find any person who belonged to scheduled tribe in any of the CBSE schools, and I couldn't find any of the scheduled belong to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in one of the elite CBSE schools. And the teacher also claimed the fact that they didn't know any student who was studying in that school belonged to this category. And there are students with regard to caste giving priority to white preference to school. If the parent insisted that she chooses a allied school having dominant caste community, and why she the school is just because of the given to this to her caste. So there are also influences caste in priority in giving importance to choose the school, and also found the financial status is also found in while selecting school with regard to caste.
Okay, but then that's, don't you think that there is a point in that, in the sense that when some teachers told you that in this elite school there is nobody from a scheduled caste community or scheduled tribe community, does that not point to kind of reproduction? And it seems like you just left that very important observation, or the finding that has come before you, that would have really substantiated, reinforced your finding as to the reproduction of the social system of disparities and contradictions, etc. Being really reproduced. That you could not find a single SC student in an elite school, I think points to something very serious, contradictions or disparities that remain in this educational system. So I thought that's a very important finding that you should not leave, but rather build on that and then make some of your observations and comments on that. So I think that is a point that you need to take into consideration. And thirdly, I mean, another question that I have with you is that you said you made the following. It seems like in your thesis I found that you have made the following observation, saying that upper class chooses CBSE, middle class chooses aided, and working class chooses government. How did you make this classification? First of all, upper, middle, and and working class, and also how did you come to this conclusion that it appeared to me like unfounded a categorical statement, that you didn't base yourself empirically and made this observation, made this statement that upper class chooses CBSE, middle class chooses aided, and working class chooses government. Can you elaborate on this, and how did you come to this kind of a conclusion?
Yes, sir. Actually, already commented parental education and occupation considered as social class and access here, and it was found that majority of the skilled labor students are in government school rather than aided and CBSE, and professional students is also the most of the professional students are while analyzing the parental occupation. Majority of the students who in CBSE school, their parents having professional qualification and high, large scale business industries. And I couldn't find any of the professionals children in government school. And with regard to teaching profession also, I couldn't find any of the teachers whose children studying in government school rather than aided and CBSE. Actually, the parental education and their occupation, while analyzing with the different types of school, it was found that skilled laborers children are more in government school, and coming with the small scale business and kind of temporary jobs. But coming to aided, we can see a neutral of parallel occupation, including both teachers and is somewhat better in the sense the occupation status. But coming to the CBSE school, it was found that most of the majority parents belongs to professional qualification, professional occupation, and large-scale business industries and NRI parents. So that's what I used to comment, like this social class having a preference of choosing one school for the children.
Okay, I agree, and but at the same time, I think when we classify as these different classes, as middle class or high class and so on, I think we should use perhaps a much more acceptable criterion, than this perhaps our impressionistic, or since they come from a particular background of family, they should belong to, and so on. Perhaps it could have been much more, done more scientifically. Okay, maybe we can think of when I didn't find this elaboration in your thesis, what you have explained now. You could have even at least mentioned this explanation when you speak about these classes and your distinction of your classification of the classes. Okay, that is another point. I think I should be stopping here now. and I have given you in my report some other questions too. Let me also just ask one question that another I find it in your report regarding the sample. Regarding the sample, that is that you have arrived at a sampling size of 480, and later I think you have received only 458 responses. So and you stuck to that, to 458 responses. You have anything more to say on that?
That's actually the sample size. Actually, the sample size is 458. That is a typical error. That is 480. And the only change in the sample occurred in the case of religious aspect, that one of the CBSE school not permitted to collect data regarding to religion. The sample size reduced to 439. Otherwise, the sample size is 458. That 480 is a typical error actually.
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, I think I should be stopping here, with some of those questions and other certain remarks and questions that you have in your report. You have, I'm sure you are, you have the reports and you are in possession of those reports, and you may, address them or respond to them while you are revising the thesis for publication. Okay, and some other minor remarks such as of other board members, like recent studies could have been incorporated, and some of the texts are missing in bibliography that you seem to have cited in your literature, and they are missing in bibliography. And how did you validate the tool? The tool validation also is missing. And a member has asked about the number of case studies. Seems less. You could have included more case studies and things like that. These were some of the comments, but at the same time, let me come to the last section of our open defense. And all of them unanimously have appreciated your study, your efforts, and have strongly recommended the thesis, considering the merits of your study and the overall merits in terms of the relevance of the topic that you have chosen, the overall design, the treatment, and the craft of the research, your methodology that is very sound, and the mode of analysis and valuable inferences that you have arrived at, and considering its overall contributions to the studies on education and social stratification. All the members of the Board of Adjudicators have strongly recommended your thesis for the award of PhD degree in sociology. And now let me declare, in great appreciation to the scholar, Srimati Aswathi Kunjumon, and the supervising guide, Professor Dr. Dilip KG. Let me announce the result and the recommendation of this open viva process, viva examination, that, as I told you, based on the recommendations and on the basis of the presentation of the thesis today at this open defense forum, and the way the scholar has defended her thesis and responded to all the questions and queries and comments of the participants, as well as of the questions and the remarks made by the chairman, myself. I recommend that the thesis of Aswathi Kunjumon be awarded PhD degree by Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kaladi, in sociology. And let me congratulate the scholar and the guide, the supervising teacher once again. With this, I conclude, this open defense. Okay. Okay. Now, perhaps let's move on to the next item of the schedule. Professor Dilip.
Yes. Professor Anthony Palakal. Now is the final session, final stage of the open defense and Viva examination of Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon. The open defense and Viva examination of the thesis submitted by Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon on the topic schooling and social disparities, reforms, factors, and effects is in the concluding stage. I'm very happy to note that the candidate has appropriately responded to the questions and suggestions from the public as well as from the respected board of adjudicators. The board has expressed its satisfaction and has recommended the thesis for the award of PhD degree in sociology to Ms. Aswathi Kunjumon. And now it is my privilege and duty to deliver the vote of thanks to all who have attended this open defense and Viva examination. Special thanks is due to Dr. Anthony Palakal, who is one of my friends for the past several years and a well-wisher of this department. For the sake of formality, I, on behalf of the university, the department, and myself, express warm thanks to Dr. Anthony for conducting the academic event. I also thank Dr. Biju Vincent, head of the department, for hosting the open defense and all other dignitaries and students for making the program a big success. Thank you once again for joining us. Now the meeting is dismissed. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.